What's up, guys? It's our community now's Will You Accept This Rosé? This is our first official episode of the premiere of Peter the Pilot.
Hey!
I'm Hannah, and this is Erin. And per usual, we are going to be recapping all the tears, all the awkward makeouts, basically all the crazy shit that went down on last night's premiere. So, I think we're just going to jump right in.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's cheers first, though, because you also need alcohol.
Here's our rosé, just to keep while we get through this craziness,
we'll need
this
it.
madness. It was 3 hours, as you guys know, so we've got a lot to cover, but we're going to do our best here.
Yeah, 3 hours. It's not like I have a life or anything like that.
Nope.
I mean, I don't, but I'd like to think I do. So 3 hours is...
It was really pushing it with my bedtime last night, but I pushed through for you guys because this is important content. Anyway, all right, so we started with, obviously, we got to start with a little montage of Peter, his journey. I'm sure you guys kind of know all the background on Peter, so we won't go too deep into that. But then we started to get an introduction to some of the women. So we got models, we got 3 flight attendants, which honestly is a bit overkill.
But that's fine. Got a waxer in there.
Yep, we got a waxer. We got an attorney, so that's cool.
We got all the fake people that say, like, I'm a fashion blogger, which means they do nothing.
That's, not a job. No offense, McKenna. That's her, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And let's see, we got a house flipper, which,
/ fighter. In her off time, she likes to take men down.
Interesting. So let's see, we got Madison is a group home coordinator or a foster care coordinator.
Oh, yes.
Kind of cool. Don't really know what that is. Probably something to do with social work. So that's cool. It's admirable. We got the nurse. Who she has had
Victoria P?
Yes, Victoria P. She says that she's had a pretty tough life. She takes care of everyone else, so she's looking to find someone that can take care of her.
Yeah.
Swoon. Anyway. All right. So, yada, yada, yada. We hear some of their backstories. There is one girl who has already met Peter, and that is Kelly.
Yes.
She ran into him at a hotel in California, and I guess he was at his 10-year reunion, and so she went up and clearly she didn't
say what she was doing there.
I'm going to point out she did not make it clear that she made an introduction. She kind of made it sound like
she stalked him.
She just saw him and it wasn't a big deal. Honestly, I think she was kind of hustling us. She's totally. I just saw him. Yeah. But then clearly when she got out of the limo, which we all saw, he knew exactly who she was.
Which is good memory for him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, she's the attorney. I think she's really cute. I think seems very down to earth so far. So I'm digging her. Anyway, all right. So we got to the Bachelor Mansion. Chris Harrison does his.
I love Chris Harrison.
Here we go. Welcome.
Only consistent man in my life.
His welcome spiel, and here come the limos. So we just dive right in. And we had some, honestly, at the beginning, there were 3 or 4 girls that were just very casual, very normal.
Genuine.
Which I liked. That was kind of refreshing. I was kind of glad we didn't come out of the gate with, the weirdest crap. And I'm like, okay.
Because it's, what people actually will do. If you introduce yourself, at a bar in passing, you're not going to go and put a windmill on your back. You're going to be like, hey, I'm Erin, nice to meet you. I think you're cute. Let's hang out.
I mean, honestly, that would, I've thought about this so many times. If I ever showed up on this show, what would I say? I get you want to make a good impression, but I think, honestly, now, if you do something so normal, that makes you stand out more than the crazy person.
Heaven forbid there's normalcy in Hollywood.
So our first, let's see, I don't know the exact order, but things started to get pretty crazy when someone showed up with a windmill on their back. That was going to be...
Who was that? That was, I don't remember her name.
Yeah, I think she may or may not be gone, but...
Clearly her impression didn't matter that much because we can't remember who she was.
Yeah, let's see. There was lots of airplane puns, which I was, not surprised, but also, come on, ladies. Let's not.
There was Eunice, and she came out of the limo with angel wings on her back. And so since she's a flight attendant, she's gone, by the way, so it didn't matter. Yeah. But she was like, oh, I thought I just spread my wings and I don't know, something.
She said wing it. She's going to wing it. Yeah, and I'm I kind of thought she was going to have a better joke set up, but, clearly did not. All right. And then we had a man roll out a big pile of suitcases, which all we could assume is that this girl is in the suitcase. And I'm like, okay.
Who fits in that?
Yeah.
Good for her.
Like, my first thing was like, what's going on, like, with her hair? Is her dress gonna wrinkle in that thing? Like, those would be all that, like, I would
logistics, you should say.
I'd be worried that, like, not necessarily that I could fit in it, but that, like, once I was in it, I would probably suffocate, and or once I got out, I would look horrible to meet the man that I'm trying to impress.
Right.
Because my hair would just be, so that was pretty bold, pretty interesting.
Dirty hot luggage. I really enjoy.
Let's get the name on that. We have our roster here, guys, because
there's so many of them.
It is the first episode, so bear with us. We don't know all these names yet, but we're gonna
Madison
get
and
there.
Hannah Ann look the same person, so that's gonna take me a second because they look exactly the same.
Yeah, that one was tough at first. We've got a lot of lookalikes. We've got similar names, so we're doing the last name initial. And speaking of last name initials, that really cracked me the heck up was Ashley P, the cow. She was such a great first impression.
So amazing. And that was the emotional support cow for Jenna.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. Like, what are you supposed to do with the cow? Where do you put it?
So she brought her emotional support cow, and I just love that she gave her a last name initial. Like, that just really was like the icing on the cake of the first impression limo walkout. So I was like, really? Like a cow?
That her name's Ashley, too. It's like such a typical Bachelor
Oh, God.
name.
So we don't know what happened. Like, Ashley might just still be hanging out in the pasture in the back. Like, I don't know. But then we had a lot of airplane entrances.
Yep.
Wasn't surprised there.
Madison wore a really big paper airplane around her waist.
Yeah.
Which sounds hard to navigate.
Well,
no pun intended, but like moving.
Yeah.
She got out of it. It's fine. And then let's see what else.
Another girl came up in like kind of like a little like, we couldn't really tell what it was at first. It was like a little rickety airplane that she just kind of like rolled in and said she was coming. Was that McKenna?
No, McKenna did. Actually, might have been. Who was the person that drove the car? The red car.
That was Lexi, the redhead, which, like, I'm not going to lie, I'm a redhead. They're very few and far between on this show. So, like, I definitely, like, they stick out to me. Yeah. But she didn't really, she didn't have much of a conversation with him, like, the rest of the episode, which we will get to. But anyway,
Kylie brought condoms, like a whole row of condoms.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And, like, man, like, I hope that Pete, like, I feel so bad for Peter because, like, that's his identifier that he can rally. That he has endurance, and this poor girl is just like,
he can go multiple rounds on the windmill, as we all know.
They all say.
Which we probably will not get to hear, or we will hear it, like, the entire season long. So just get ready. But let's see. Peyton came on pretty strong. There's always the girl that just goes straight for the kiss. Yep, she blindfolded him, was doing some weird sensory things, and then just, like, of course, goes for the easy makeout because he
totally
came and
his butt.
see you.
See
I was like,
squeeze.
Like, that's just, come on, girl. I think you can get a little more creative than that.
Yeah, why?
And I think she's
like Corinne 2.0.
She's a business development rep. One of them is another one is the flight attendant, but I can't keep track of all these flight attendants. Yeah. We did, like, we'll get there. We'll see what happens with the flight attendants. Anyway, all right. So last person to exit the limo, which was a big shock to everybody. Not necessarily to the viewers because it was teased pretty heavily.
Yep.
But Hannah B walks out of the limo.
That beast.
Hannah Beast is back, and so everyone's not really sure what her intentions are at first. Peter is clearly very shocked. He's like, what the heck? Like, why are you here?
But like in a great way. He's like kind of like,
I think he's
so excited to see her.
I mean, later he mentions that he was pretty happy to see her come out of that limo, but like obviously all the girls are like kind of screaming and freaking out, like seriously.
Like legit screaming, like bloody murder.
Oh yeah. Like I think McKenna like let out a full-on blood-curdling scream.
Yeah, super
So
pathetic.
Hannah walks up, she just kind of says hello. It's kind of a casual thing. Like she's kind of making it sound like she's not here to stay. She's like,
Which is weird because, like, at the beginning, she's like, I'm so nervous. And, like, it made it sound like, why? If you're just here to give him back his wings.
I know. That's why we can all assume that this is not the end of that story. But anyway, she kind of wishes him luck, says he deserves love. And
everything.
So she gives him kind of a special memento. She gives him the wings that he gave her on his first night when they first met at the Bachelor Mansion, which is cute. Honestly, I thought that was really cool. And, like, I was really kind of, I'm not going to lie, like, I hate to be a Hannah hater because I am a Hannah, but, like, I don't know. I just don't. I wanted her story to end there with this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was nice because, like, that he only has 2 of those wings, so it was great that she gave him back and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like, it was kind of nice. Like, they, like, hugged and she left. And that was the end of it. And I like that he addressed it right afterwards when he came back in the house. He said, hey, Hannah came in just to give you back my wings. Like, also spoke highly of it in that situation. And the girls were like, oh, that's the end of it.
Yeah, at least he's a straight shooter, because then everyone else was able to kind of let their guard down a little bit. Hannah's not coming to the cocktail party, so they're like kind of going through that whole thing. Cocktail party I thought was pretty uneventful. I mean, it was
didn't care about it.
Pretty typical, like the really awkward interruptions, like the paper airplanes kept coming into play, and that was weird.
Everyone crying, like, I'm not going to get enough time with him. People are half drunk already. You can see their mascara starting to run a little bit. Just getting a hot mess
one of the main troublemakers, there's always one that has to talk to him multiple times, and the other girls are like, I haven't even talked to him once, and she's talked to him 3 times. And that was Hannah Ann, another Hannah. Lots of Hannah troublemakers. It's really not
getting it.
It's making me a little nervous for how Hannahs are going to be perceived for the rest of forever.
We can change it.
But anyway, so she's gorgeous. She's a model. They clearly have a good connection. She gives him like a painting that I think her father painted.
Why do you give that away to someone you don't know?
Honestly,
I just don't. What are these like family heirlooms? Like that same girl that also like had the grandma write him a letter when she was exiting the limo. Oh, like, what is with the sentiment? You've met him for 5 minutes.
I think when you like kind of bring your family into it a little too soon, acting like they're very invested in the process in their relationship, like that's a little awkward. Like, come on, it's just not believable. Like, we don't believe that your grandma like already is like has a deep connection with this man.
Yeah.
Or your dad like already loves him and wants to paint him a picture. Like, my dad would probably be like, what? No.
My mom's like, bring him home after 6 months, and then I know you're serious about him. So and none have come home yet.
That's the part of this show where it's like, is the family really that involved? Probably not, but
15 minutes of fame.
So honestly, not a whole lot of action other than Sheehan does confront Hannah Ann on the fact that she is getting a lot more time than the rest of them. But like, I just think that's such a cop-out. I don't respect it when they do, like, confront that person, because I'm like, girl, if you want to talk to him, just go talk to him. Just be normal, be confident.
Like, this is the show. It's like what? It's 20-something season.
Don't be too aggressive. I mean, I get that they get very minimal time, but it's just like, you know what? I think it's kind of like, in this situation, it's probably everything happens for a reason. If you make a connection, great. If not, sorry. Like, probably not going to happen.
Hasta la vista. So, at this point, I think he's kissed 2 people.
Yeah, he's getting in there.
The blindfold girl, what's her name? I forget.
Peyton, I believe, yes.
Yikes. Watch out for those Peytons.
Hannah Ann.
And then
a lot. Lots of kissing.
So already 2 of those. And then
Tammy, I believe he kisses.
Oh yeah, Tammy takes him out takes him out in like the in the front or something like that, and just starts making out with him. So there's 3 already.
There's a lot of kisses. I think McKenna kisses him, which is extremely awkward because Natasha is in the background just like saying TikTok and like throwing paper airplanes at them. So like that was pretty savage. I was like,
that's
damn,
awesome.
girl.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, we had one more little quick tear up from the other Victoria. And she was worried that her joke at the beginning, like lots of sexual jokes this season. And she set the tone by making a joke about how, like, her dry humor is the only dry thing about her, which it's like...
Oh, I didn't even get that.
We can put 2 and 2 together. Well, she kind of was, like, giggling through it, so, like, I couldn't really hear her at first. I had to take to Twitter to, like, figure out what she actually said. But anyway, she was really worried about that. She thought it was really provocative, and so she, like, kind of addressed it with him, and, like, he didn't really remember the joke, which was even more awkward.
So it wasn't funny.
Which I don't blame him, though. Like, that's hard to, like, remember all that stuff. And
he probably has a note person, like, hanging out in the background.
I would need, like, a guy in the back with, like, note cards, like, this is their name, this is what they said, like, because I would be like,
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get right into the rose ceremony. I think
everyone got the rose that we expected, except for the girl who had that really emotional story about her gaining a lot of weight after her pageant years and stuff like that.
Marissa, I think.
Marissa, she went home, which was kind of sad. I liked her story.
I thought she was cute, and I thought she seemed really genuine and had a good backstory at least. So, like, we thought, and I think she got some good quality time with him. So that was probably the only shock of the evening. Otherwise, pretty predictable.
Yep.
And then this is a little different this year. They jumped right into a group date. So
which is
that
awesome.
Was interesting.
Although it was 3 hours long, so I guess it makes sense.
I mean, honestly, the whole very predictable first date. Like, it was pilot everything, pilot this, pilot that. And
they had, like, math tests. They had physical tests. They had orbition, I think is how you pronounce it, Tess, where you kind of like spin around and see if you can handle all that turbulence and stuff. And Victoria P did not do it well.
Yeah, one person did not handle it well, which was Victoria P, which honestly is kind of shocking. Like I guess that doesn't matter if you're a nurse, but you should be like kind of accustomed to like things that like sickness. I don't know.
Right.
Like I think so. But anyway, she told this pretty sappy story of how she had a traumatic experience on the teacups at the amusement park.
So
and she
scarred.
got sick. But it's like, didn't we all? Like,
yeah, that's the point of the teacups. It's fine, but I love how like he comes and comforts her, and she was like, no one's comforted me and took care of me like he has. And I'm just thinking, what are your standards? No one has ever taken care of you when you're sick.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Yeah,
like I think
she's
just
like riding that victim plane.
I'm sure the ratio is a lot like higher if you're a nurse. Clearly, you're taking care of people as a profession, so like people aren't going to take as I don't know. It's just anyway. So silly. Her story was interesting. Then we get to she does hurl like she basically pukes after she like she's
which
a trooper.
I probably would too. I mean,
a puker, both. She's a trooper and a puker, and she went through it. She did it. She puked. Puked and rallied. It seemed like so good for her. Then we get to the obstacle course and. It's pretty intense. Like they have to like go through these like wind machines and like this obstacle course, and then they have to change into a pilot outfit, which leads them to the final course, which is Kelly and Tammy.
Yeah.
And Tammy's really pretty pissed off because she thinks Kelly basically just
she's also super scary.
Cheated. Yeah, she's being a little aggressive with the fact that she cheated. And so Kelly basically burns through and doesn't really do the course, and so that's why she said she cheated. And as we all know, Kelly gets her prize for winning is getting to go on a flight with Peter by herself. And so that's I really hope we can stop with the plane stuff after this episode, but I know that is it's
never gonna happen.
Pipe dream. That's not gonna happen. So
painful.
Whatever, we'll just go with it. Anyway, so we get to the cocktail hour, like everything's going pretty normal. Kelly's getting a lot of attention, and her and Peter kind of relive the fact that they met at a hotel, and they have a good connection.
AKA they make out on a bar.
Yeah, so I think that
puts her right on the bar, and he's like, "You need to be here." Is literally what it was like.
It was a little weird.
I get a little awkward thinking about it.
Like he's weird when he tries to like initiate.
Rico Suave is
things.
not suave.
It took me back to when him and Hannah like made out on a pool table and
how
he
uncomfortable.
Like, hit her head on like one of the lights on the pool table, and it was the cringiest thing I've probably ever experienced.
Pool stick up
and would
not
totally
fun
like
areas.
It would kill the vibe if that were me. So
just sit on a couch,
whatever.
Okay, be normal.
So, but I mean, he's really going for it. He's hooking up with a lot of people.
It's like number 5.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway,
what chapped lips?
That one was pretty normal. And then let's see, he goes.
So and then Kelly gets the rose from that date.
She does. She gets the date rose.
She gets that one. Everyone's a little meh, whatever.
Pretty predictable.
No one cares.
Not a whole. Sheehan clearly upset, crying again that she's not getting enough attention, and I'm like, girl. That girl just never ends up with anything. So don't be that girl.
Back at the mansion, they give the envelope for the one-on-one date, and then it turns out that Madison is the one that receives the one-on-one date with Peter the next day, and Savannah's freaking out. She's already thinking like she's not enough for Peter. And again, just man, how could you ever survive something like this? The emotional roller coaster that would take on you. You're just like, I can't. I think I'd aged 10 years like the president.
I'm not going to blame these girls. Like
I'm blaming them.
They're like they have like a. I'm not gonna blame them either, honestly. Like, I would feel everything they're feeling. Like, I'm mad that like so many girls are getting more attention than me, or like I'm feeling neglected. Like, I would feel that like wholeheartedly. But like, just the girls that like complain about it, like you knew what you were getting yourself into. Like, come on.
Like, totally no. Yeah, again, you have that huge backstory. So she just is crying and stuff like that, and no one cares. But then, so Madison and Peter's one-on-one date, they end up going to his parents' vow renewal ceremony, which
was big,
I think is super huge. Like, literally meet the parents on the second day.
I have a feeling, I'm not gonna lie, like these parents kind of put a weird taste in my mouth last season. Like they were very emotional, like very like.
Was that weird chanter on the table? You remember
they
that?
Did, like their German chant. But now in this season, they're saying that they have a Cuban background, and they were doing some sort of Cuban song at the beginning. I was like, what are we going for here? Anyway, this family, a little weird.
Yeah.
And so they immediately jump into like being very involved. They let her go to their vow renewal thing, and meets the whole family. Like, grandma's there, brother's there, like, everyone's there.
Grandma.
And so then that goes really well, obviously. Like, how could it not? And then they go to this very cheesy concert with this band that no one's ever heard of.
Pretty Sarah typical. McLachlan wasn't there.
Pretty typical.
And so awesome.
They dance with grandma, and it's just so great and romantic. And he thinks he has a real strong connection with Madison, which I will say they had a point where they got to sit down and talk. And like, she was very untouched dinner. She was very genuine. Like, I thought her conversation with him was like kind of like no BS, like pretty good answer that she gave him. Like, she's like, you know what? Like, I don't know like who you're gonna end up with. Like, I don't know if that's gonna be me. Obviously, I want it to be me, but like, I just want you to be happy. And so like, that's where I'm coming from this whole time. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
thing to
and she's just like, it's gonna be hard to share you, so bear with me while I try to navigate that.
Yeah,
I was like,
I think she's 100% a front runner. So
yeah. Gets
the rose, obviously. She's safe for the next rose ceremony. And we're on to the last group date, which was probably the biggest shock of the night.
So they go on the group date, and it's just, again, I don't care who's on the group date. What I care about is the fact that Hannah B shows up, and she's on the stage, and it's like it's just the women and Peter watching Hannah on stage tell a story about Peter and Hannah's love life, like literally from the first date to the kissing to the windmill, to how many times they had sex, to falling in love.
Yes.
Like, super awkward things. And all the poor girls were probably like, I have to be engaged because else I'm going to look like that girl. But they're all probably like, why is she here?
I mean,
why are we listening to their
They took it pretty well. Like, no one was being too shady, but like, they definitely
you can see it.
Liked
you can see in the eyes. They're smiling, but they're like,
there was some talking heads where they're just like, why? Why is she here? Like, I thought that was the end of it at the rose ceremonies, like, or not the rose ceremony, just first night out of the limo.
Yeah.
Like, they just wanted it to be done, and I did too. I was like, I feel for these girls. Like, this is stupid.
Like,
why
go
is she
away,
still
Hannah,
here? And like,
point.
so anyway, their date activity is that they like, so she shares her awkward sex story with Peter that everyone already knew, and so
a lot.
Then she says to the girls that they now have to share some sort of kind of like sex awkward story or like a sex fantasy. Like, they just have to get into like a very awkward story, and then they have to say it out loud on a stage in front of a live audience,
which I think is like, I think it's funny in theory, but like, I still think that stuff is private. Like, if you want to share it, but don't make it a prompt in order just to, like, get to know someone or whatever. Like, I think that's an intimate conversation with whoever you decide to make it, not like, hey, I'm going to make you do this for entertainment purposes. Tell me your sex life. Like, I don't know.
Well, I feel like
I didn't like it.
It's just an awkward cycle because it's like they just heard an awkward story about Peter and his ex. So, like, why would he want to hear a bunch of stories about them and their exes? Like, that's so... Because obviously, like...
Sharing is caring.
It might have been a one-night stand, but I would say, like, a lot of people probably have crazy stories from relationships. And so it's like... Ugh.
However, there was a sneak peek in, like, before the premiere even happened of one of the girls being a virgin. Did you see that?
I did, yeah. Like, so, like, she didn't tell Peter. Like, he doesn't know.
Which is fine. Again, that is her own business. Clearly, the entire world knows now. But if she didn't want to tell Peter, again, that's her stuff that she decides to share. Like, you do you, girl. But that's hard if she was a part of that group date, which we don't know because it didn't end
I think
yet.
She probably is. Like,
that was seriously, like, I actually haven't had it yet. So
the devil works hard, but the Bachelor producers work harder. So, of course, they put her on that date. Anyway, okay, so we get through this. The girls are getting to the back, and they're, like, writing their stories. And so cut to Hannah. She's having, like, a little mini breakdown behind this paper windmill thing,
just
like
hiding in it,
talking to the producers, like talking about how this is so difficult for her, how like she still has those feelings coming up, like she doesn't really want to like mess everything up for Peter, but she still has those feelings.
She already has.
Kind of already did by being there twice, like won't get out of there. And so that's very much in his face, and she ends up going back and like getting very emotional in this like back room. And Peter finds her, obviously.
Because the doors are wide open.
Oh, yeah. Like, the directors ushered him in. Like, go console her. And basically, they have this conversation where she is just recapping what had happened. She wishes things would have gone differently. Obviously. Like, she
thought it was going to be Jed and Peter at the end, not Jed and Tyler. And he was like, you never said that to me. And she was like, I didn't need to. Or you never reached out to me. And these things that
I'm just going to set the record straight right now that like Tyler Cameron is a gift to this earth.
Yeah.
And I will truly support him from start to finish on this series.
I love him.
So
I'll stalk him in a
fact
hotel.
That she was like, oh, it was going to be you and Jed, and like didn't even mention that like she just like what? Like just gave Tyler like a a pass. Like, he's so lucky to have gotten reconsidered. Like, what the? Anyway, I'm just going to let that go. But Peter's, like, basically kind of, like, upset that after her and Jed's little fallout, that she got on after the rose and wanted to invite Tyler out. Like, basically, like, a second chance type date thing. And he kind of, like, I don't know, like, shyly accepts, like, doesn't really evolve to anything. But Peter's just so hurt that she didn't reach out to him at all. Like, no contact.
She just go down the list of, like, priorities. Like,
so, because he was
Jed,
still
Tyler, Peter?
Clearly very involved with her and his emotions towards her. So, anyway, they have this long, drawn-out conversation about, like, she's crying. And, like, let me just say, like, I am so, like, I'm mad for her that the producers did not, like, tell her that her makeup was down to here.
Also, what makeup is she wearing? Like, my makeup doesn't do that.
It was
intense. I had plenty of emotional breakdowns, and mine looks flawless. Like, what is she wearing?
You really
She's a celebrity. She should know better by now.
Waterproof mascara. Well, and she said even that, like, the first night that she came out of the limo was really difficult for her. So, like, the fact that she was going to do this again, like, she should have prepared. Like, come on.
Third time's a charm.
Like, if you knew it was going to be just as hard, like, what are you doing, sis?
She just loves to be beaten down emotionally and self-esteem and stuff.
So
then he, like, basically is like, well, what would you do if you came back on the show? You joined the mansion or whatever. And she was like, maybe.
Yep. And she's like, maybe. Kind of, like, cries it out like she's unsure. But I feel like she was desperately hoping he was going to say that. Like, she really was.
And I feel like what's going to happen is she's still not going to accept it. She'll be like, no, I can't do that to you, whatever. But she'll draw it out like, well, I still technically got the offer. Like, still no. I think she needs a self-esteem booster.
I honestly think
like,
that
winning
would
Dancing
be
with the Stars was not enough.
An absolute dumpster fire if she came into that house.
Which I would totally watch.
Which the producers are probably like, yes. But, like, I don't think she's going to do that. I think she's going to kind of have this, like, soul-searching moment where she's like, I can't do that to you, and I need to find myself away from this show. God only hopes. Like, I just need her to go do something else.
Yeah, go date, like, a chef or something. Like, someone completely unrelated to Hollywood.
So, premiere season ender
season 20 billionth
24. I think we're on 24. Don't quote me on that. We'll get an actual answer. But anyway, that's how we leave it. Things are very hostile and confusing between Hannah and Peter. Yep. And we don't even see the girls' sex stories until next week. So
darn it. It's my favorite part.
We are going to be waiting for that moment, but we appreciate you guys watching this episode. Stay with us. Follow us on Twitter. We are OCN_Rosé Reviews. We do live tweeting during every episode, so stay tuned for that. And we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.